about this creator, man. She's got skills,
Sweet.
man. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming by.
Dawn's Plum is a 2001 comedy drama film directed by R.D. Robb, written and produced by David Stutman and Dale Wheatley. This film is about an hour and 30 minutes and stars Scott Bloom as Brad, Kevin Connolly as Jeremy, Tobey Maguire as Ian, Leonardo DiCaprio as Derek, Jenny Lewis of the Postal Service fame, my favorite band, as Sarah, Meadow Sisto, the sister of Jeremy Sisto, who is credited on IMDb as Bernard, she's playing Juliet, Marissa Ribisi, the sister of actor Giovanni Ribisi, I think he's a Scientologist, as Tracy, and Amber Benson as Amy. We'll look closer at the film later, but for some important background and some behind-the-scenes context to set the stage a bit, Leo and his Hollywood friends Tobey, Lucas Haas, and Kevin Connolly were somewhat infamous in the 90s for their partying antics and public behavior, most notably pulling pranks, chasing women, and harassing paparazzi, but we'll have an opportunity to delve deeper into that later when we discuss the memoir of one of the producers, Dale Wheatley, who sent me a signed copy. It offers some deeper context and perspective. You can order a copy of Too Real on Dale's website, freedawnsplum.com, and learn more about the fascinating rabbit hole that is this movie and the controversy that surrounds it. The discovery of this group was the genesis for my descent into the story. At times, I may make reference to the Pussy Posse, later officially called the Wolf Pack, which is the preferred name of Leo's friend group, apparently. The original name was coined by Nancy Jo Sale's New York Magazine article titled Leo, Prince of the City. However, the article itself is of no interest to me and doesn't impact the video whatsoever. I'm not going to explore it further. It's a tough read. Very cringe. Due to a 1998 lawsuit, Leo and Tobey had the film effectively banned from official release by the filmmakers and cite a couple of reasons as the motivation. Leo and Tobey both indicate that they believed the film to be a short film in their deposition, and when they caught wind of a feature film in the works, they felt it would be damaging to their career as the off-the-cuff or improvised nature of the dialogue and performances would reflect poorly on their real-life character. Tobey, in particular, has reservations about some of the dialogue and whether his performance would contrast well or match in quality to his co-star/friend, Leo. I'd be remiss not to mention there's a 3-part docuseries by the New York Post from 2019 about the film where they interviewed some of the cast and crew, including Dale Wheatley. However, much of the cast and crew declined to appear in the docuseries. It's understandable why. It's, as far as I understand, it's very heavily censored, redacted, or it's a mainstream media news source. What do you expect? After discovering the film and feeling drawn to put the word out, I contacted Dale to see if he'd be interested in collaborating on this with me, and to my delight, he was willing to help me correct the record and narrative and let me ask him some burning questions and anything he'd like to add to the story. Producing a piece of art should be a cause for celebration and an achievement for a creative. And by all accounts, this film has been, in one way or another, a battle scar for most of the people involved. It's clear to me that Dale, and I'm sure many others, are still proud of the film for what it is, despite all the drama. And I'd like to amplify the message, and my goal is to let the movie officially exist and be available, or reasonably available, to those who want to see it. In 4 chapters, we'll give some behind-the-scenes insight and setup, analyze the film, review Dale's memoir, Too Real, which helped me to pin down all of the questions I had for Dale, and paint a clearer picture of what actually happened. According to him, I've verified all of the available information as much as I can, and I'll do my best to make corrections or adjustments as needed. Before we get started, I'd encourage you to visit his website if you'd like to read more about it in his book, and check out his YouTube channel where he and his partner Angela host a podcast. While you're over there, you can also check out the full film in HD. This is the second draft as well. I spent 3 days on this segment the first time, and I was nearly finished, but because of some corrections and feedback from Dale about the story, I decided to approach it from scratch. So this is as comprehensive as I can be, and I did my best to approach it from an unbiased perspective. I don't know these people, I'm just someone who likes movies and fell into a rabbit hole. I began reading Too Real on December 16th, 2025, and finished on January 12th, 2026. At its core, this is the story of a Canadian going to Los Angeles with big dreams and genuine intent. He has talent, drive, and a supportive circle of friends, but he's also surrounded by people whose ego leave very little room for an actual personality. Ironically, they're nothing like the characters they portray so effortlessly on screen. The nepotism is off the charts, and Hollywood, a city that demands a cutthroat business mentality, wouldn't have it any other way. It only occurred to me after I began reading the book that Jeremy Sisto was in one of my favorite movies, May from 2002. I think it's an underrated gem. I'm also looking forward to seeing him in 13. Anyway, I really enjoyed the back and forth between you and Meadow about hockey punches on page 25, where she says punching people in the face is not very nice, and you reply neither is drinking someone else's beer. I'm not giving the full context here, but trust me, it's much funnier in context. Just read the book. The memoir starts by following Dale's journey to LA, the friends he makes, and the artistic opportunities he begins to pursue. It really puts you in his shoes shoes, and then suddenly he meets Tobey. When Dale recounts making a comment about Tony Robbins' book being important, I immediately read Tobey's response as condescending. That's just how it came across to me. There's also something almost tragically poetic, well, about a lot of things in this book, but Dale first meeting Leo through a basketball game. Leo beating him and how that mirrors the later legal power struggle surrounding the film and the battle that ensued. Maybe it was intentional, maybe not, but it stood out to me. That said, the rematch vindication later on was satisfying, and to be clear, from chapters 1 through 6, I was engaged and entertained. The pacing felt right as we moved through telemarketing jobs, adventures with Jeremy and Meadow, and the broader friend group. Chapter 7 is where I became invested. That's where Dawn's Plum started to feel real as a film, and Too Real began to feel like a life story rather than a sequence of events. While working on this project, I struggled to figure out how to untangle the story narratively. Reading this made me realize that Too Real may be just as important, if not more, to Dale and the people around him than any film project he worked on. He could have made this book entirely about himself, but instead it reads like a celebration of the talented people he encountered along the way. Anyway, I digress. The Grateful Dead concert and Vegas portions put me on an emotional roller coaster. I felt that section deeply, perhaps not in the same way that Dale felt his, but there's some other moments later that were maybe a little more relatable along that vein. I can't talk much about it, so just you'll have to take my word for it. The moment where Jeremy picks up Dale off the street on page 72 after Dale wandered off while tripping, tells him he's the best person he's ever met. That's genuinely sweet, and when you factor in moments like praise from Jeff Goldblum, you can really understand how devastating the fallout from this film and shattered friendships must have been. Drugs aside, when humans experience godlike highs and soul-crushing lows, it becomes incredibly difficult to hold on to the motivation we all start with. By chapters 9 and 10, I'll be honest, I was overwhelmed. Maybe that's a sign I should never do a book review again. I'm just not that kind of learner. One minute, Dale is fighting for his life in the passenger seat of R.D. Rob's car while R.D. is driving like Dom Toretto, and the next minute, Seth Green is telling Dale he should cut Leo and Tobey loose because they don't seem to give a shit about anyone, which is true. I don't even think Seth is wrong. It's just a lot. The build up to getting everyone to agreeing to make the film was intense. As a reader, I felt a diluted version of what I imagine Dale felt. Excitement, wonder, fear, and uncertainty. One of the book's strongest qualities is how vividly it captures people's personalities. Part 2 starts at chapter 12. David celebrating the secured funds and describing RD as having unfived him is genuinely hilarious. That line killed me. Also, RD's apparent contempt for his mom. Yeah, maybe I'm an asshole, but the office phone call where he gives her shit about her clients was funny, and he just sounds like a prickly guy in general. The moment I read the name Durr, I lost it. I'm really glad Leo's character wasn't named Durr. It's both funny and irritating to read about a bunch of horny men insecure about their masculinity, struggling to perform a gay character, or even reconcile with gayness in general. There's so much repressed homosexuality and homoerotic undertones throughout this. I understand the book is, well, it's not a product of its time, but it's a time capsule, and I can't help but viewing it through 2026 eyes. Then we hit chapter 15 around page 166, and I'm locked in. Rehearsals finally begin. Page 168 is just deplorable. I don't really want to talk about it. I have other shit to get to. On page 204, in one of the rare moments I agree with Leo, Amber makes a comment doubting whether rap music would still be relevant in 25 years. I have nothing against Amber, but that statement aged like milk. It might be the most Caucasian exchange I've ever read. Not a criticism of the book, just commentary on the substance of the conversation. Page 207 shows the most vulnerability, if you want to call it that, I've seen from Leo so far. He's embarrassed that his life is too good. That's hard for me to empathize with, given my life experience and the state of the world, but on paper, I can intellectually understand the conflict. It humanizes the adolescent version of Leo until he later ruins it by chastising you for being pretentious over activism, saving rainforests, and protesting the Canadian government. I thought it was admirable, but, you know, when he called you a name, which I'm going to get to later in my video, it kind of put everything into perspective for me. This moves a central issue here. It's about greed, prestige, and social status. Many successful artists are assholes, or they placate assholes. Art is beautiful, but not all artists are good people. We're all messy. Some of us more than others. I'm genuinely sorry your activism wasn't appreciated. That's my point here. The first day of shooting was chaotic, and Leo complained about his wardrobe like a diva. On page 227, I had to stop. If you want details, read the book, but an A-list actor flashing his genitals at work is sexual misconduct. I'm not naming names. I'm also not reading the whole book to you. It's one of the actors, okay? When we finally reached that infamous scene, Amber Benson wasn't actually angry, but Leo clearly disliked her as an actor. He threw a glass during the scene, actually her, gets applause because the scene worked, but that doesn't make it okay. It's reckless, but not unheard of in film history. It's just still not advisable. Then there's the almond milk incident. If someone wants to do that privately with consent, fine, but subjecting others to it without consent, including you as an involuntary witness, is pretty self-explanatory. Moving on, I'm glad Jerry Metters saw potential in your work and paid you something early on, especially given how the film was later sabotaged. Page 331 was genuinely upsetting. It involves filming a sexual act between well-known figures, and it's unclear whether both parties knew they were being recorded. The footage was later needed during the legal situation because it may have included information or threatened to destroy it or something like that. I might not have taken a good note here. Threatened to destroy the footage, which is a crime, and they were told it was a crime, so that's pretty fucked up. But from what I gathered, 2 A-listers, again, I can't say the names just to be safe, they were masturbating each other, and another A-lister, well, he's not an A-lister now, but he's another prominent actor, and he's well-known. He's well-known enough. My Name is Earl well-known, about like that level. He was filming it in the corner, and just, I'm pretty sure without the girl's knowledge, from what I remember. Everyone else seemed to be kind of shocked by it, but nobody spoke up. There was a lot of like bystander syndrome going on. That's one of the worst things, and for Dale's part in this, he expresses having regretted it, and at the time being so overwhelmed with needing the film to be successful, etc. Finally, page 541, Leo's insistence that his life is too perfect frustrated me throughout the book. But I appreciated your theory that he may have been projecting his sadness onto you because his own life didn't allow space for it. I liked how you tied it together by reclaiming the tree-hugging Canadian piece of shit line, which is what Leo, of course, called you. A theory, after all, is supported by evidence, and testimony is a form of evidence. So I think this is plausible, and I like the theory. I think it tracks. All right. I'm sick right now, but I told Dale that I would finish this today, and I think he emailed me back. I haven't read it yet. It's just been, it's a shit show. Things behind the scenes are a mess for me because life sucks. But I said I would get this done, so I guess the next thing on the agenda is the movie. So let's get started. The film is shot on 16 millimeter. In terms of style, it's pretty raw, and that's kind of the point. So whether you like it depends on what you enjoy watching. It's interesting to me, if nothing else, and a unique film in its own right. Controversy aside, as far as cinematography and lighting is concerned, DP Stephen Adcock blew out the exposure a bit to give the film its distinct look and make it easier to adjust in post. I don't have any issues with that. I think it's fine. It's just the way it looks. It wasn't completely unheard of in films from this era. There's some nice camera work around the 10-minute mark of the live band and the fish tank shot, of course. There's some good tracking shots around the table, and I'm glad it ended up making the cut. They really put their best foot forward when Leo was on screen. As far as the sound and score is concerned, I enjoyed the music choices during the heated interaction between Amy and Derek, and when they were served food afterward. And when Amy is destroying the Jeep, the opening title sequence music has really grown on me too. Not that I had an issue with it to begin with, I started liking it more the more I heard it. The audio quality in the bathroom scenes isn't the greatest. They're filming in a bathroom. I'm not gonna be too mean about it. And the only song choice I wasn't crazy about was the first live performance music by Toledo Diamond. It really just comes down to me not caring for the song. Nothing against them. There's also an aggressive cut to Jeremy driving early on in the film, and I just thought the choice of music was a little jarring. They originally wanted Weezer to do the score, I believe, but that didn't pan out, so I'm curious how that would have sounded. I thought the editing was pretty good. There's a bit of jumping around from the band to the kids interacting. It's not always clear whether it's intentional or they're just compensating for a lack of footage due to the chaos behind the scenes and the production costs, etc. It didn't create an issue for me rating the film. Let's talk about the performances, because the movie leans heavily on them by design, and I have a lot to say about it. This is my 4th or 5th, I don't even know, probably 6 times at this point that I've seen it, so I've mostly made up my mind here. I think Brad, Derek, Jeremy, and Juliet were the most convincing and standout performances. The best of the 3, I would say, are Brad and Derek. I enjoyed Juliet and Brad's characters the most. I think the performances are a bit inconsistent on the part of Flo and Brad especially, but Flo and Brad work well when they're interacting with the group as opposed to when they're standing in front of a mirror. I didn't care for Dawn's performance. I liked the back and forth interaction with Brad and Sarah where they're discussing music, and with the real-life background of the actors having a good knowledge of music, I think it was a smart decision to have these characters talk about it. I had some other issues with the opening scene where Bernard and Amy are in his truck and he kicks her out, where I wasn't fully buying Amber's performance, but not a big deal, whatever. I really didn't find Tobey's sung moments or one-liners very funny. As for the performance from Ethan and Dale, I thought they were good, and if anything, Ethan and Dale could have been in the film more, if only the timing and budget permitted, but there were a lot of reasons why that couldn't and didn't happen. The pacing and structure are sort of at the mercy of the limitations and style of the film since it's improvised, so you know what you're in for in that sense. The exchange between Derek and Amy is the most fiery moment, so the most controversial scene among the people who've seen it is actually my favorite moment. After my 3rd watch of the film and reading the book, I made it a point to not let the book influence my thoughts about the viewing experience. thoughts as much as humanly possible. I only took the information I learned from the book as educational. I won't form an opinion based on backstage difficulties, whether it's in a negative or positive sense. At least for me, the humor doesn't necessarily work in the same way that it's intended, and it's not because the performances are bad or that I don't understand the point of the film, because I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the intent after reading the book and seeing the film several times now. But that's not to say I don't find it funny. Like most people, I enjoy raw or nasty dialogue, but it really just depends on what the characters are saying at any given moment. In closing, I'd recommend it to anyone who's interested, even in the slightest, about any of this. I had a difficult time rating this because my enjoyment depends on the day or context of the segment I was working on, since at least for me it was a monumental undertaking and it fluctuated anywhere from a 6 to a strong 7 out of 10. I can't completely attribute this to celebrity fatigue either, because ultimately I think its pacing is going to feel different depending on viewing conditions, but I'm still glad it's here for us to see and that Dale and these people got to make a movie, even if the experience wasn't all that great for them behind the scenes. Tobey Maguire's dad robbed a bank in 1993 in Reseda, California. No, we are not doing a Tobey Maguire autobiography. A troubled life doesn't give you an excuse to be a dick and try to ruin someone else's career. Just because you've successfully survived the shit economy doesn't mean you should abuse your power and influence for personal gain. Dale and R.D. Robb had to literally throw hands to give form to this movie. I mean, I don't know if there was actual blood, but there was definitely sweat and a lot of alcohol involved. And our good friend Sid, among other things I just can't say in case this ever miraculously gets monetized. Ultimately, I've covered this from the perspective of an artist, someone who's passionate about art, but looked into things as an investigative journalist would, or at least tried to. The problem is that this is an emotionally heavy memoir written from Dale's perspective and based off of his memory, which at least to me seems to be pretty impressive. I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, so there's that. Persuasive and plausible are the words for the day. For Leo and Tobey to go to such lengths to bury this movie speaks for itself. For my final thoughts, I'm not gonna read from a script here. Going down a rabbit hole. It's just rare that I ever find anything interesting enough to make a video about. Thanks for sending me these pictures, because they're cool, and I want the world to see them. So I just wanted to include them here, because I didn't really know where to put them, and who gives a fuck? I can just put them on screen. I feel like other people will find them interesting. If nothing else, I hope you thought these were cool. There's some from the set, pictures of him with Lars von Trier. I don't know who all these people are. Perhaps I can add it in the description if he answers me later, and we'll figure that out. But thanks to everyone for helping out with this, and I am going to include a clip here at the end of I joined in on Dale and Angela's podcast and asked them about Tony Robbins, because Dale used to work for him, and I was curious what he thought about the sexual assault allegations, all this stuff about Tony Robbins. I guess he didn't know. So give him a little bit, because he's kind of finding out in real time about the Tony Robbins stuff, but I just thought his response was interesting, so I'm going to add it here. I think it adds to it. So anyway, thanks everyone.
Niers is asking, they're still reading the book, but asking, they're on a trip to Washington right now, and they're asking what my relationship is with Tony. I have no relationship with Tony Robbins anymore. I would love to.
Would you like one?
What, a relationship with Tony Robbins?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I love that guy, dude.
You did?
Look, he was, working with his franchise, he was kind of
you
a
were
dick.
19 then, right?
I was. It was
That's
18
amazing.
and 19. He was kind of a dick. Well, right up until I was 24, because I did 2 stints. I did one in Winnipeg and then I did one in Vancouver. But he was kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. He had this seminar called Unlimited Power, and it was broken up into all these different chapters. Probably, one of them, for example, Love and Attraction Strategies, a really great chapter on people working on how to communicate with lovers or prospective lovers, So it was a really cool thing. That course, this seminar back in 1989, 1990, through 93 was $1,400 per person to attend. Way expensive, ridiculous. And it's just a fucking seminar. Come in. It's not even him live. It's facilitated. It's a videotape. It's VHSs that we play and then facilitate and so on and so forth. So it's super expensive. And it was really, really hard to make a difference. So what I did, because I was kind of running things for a minute. And so what I did was I broke the course up into its sections, and I just started selling the sections as individual nights, And it worked, man. We were getting 10 people to pay $1,300 for the whole weekend. But when I opened it up, we had 100, 150 people in the auditoriums for the single nights. When we did Love and Attraction Strategies, I had to turn people down at the door. Couldn't fit them in. It was fucking incredible. So all of a sudden, we went from barely being able to prospect people to come to see Tony Robbins and do this to a house packed. Tony calls us up and he goes, "You got to stop. You're not allowed to do it." And I'm like, "We're making money. We're bringing people in. The place is full." He's like, "No, it's the whole binder or nothing." Had to sell the whole binder or nothing. So it was if you do one more of these, you owe me the binder, which was very expensive, right? Because we're a franchise, which I think it was $800 or $900 is what we had to pay per binder. Because like, if you hand out one fucking chapter, you owe me for the whole binder. And I'm like, dude, you're just ruining it. And sure enough, they all closed down. And it was all greed. So he had that side of him, which bothered the fuck out of me. But his material, the work he did, brilliant. Life-changing,
That's neat.
The greatest thing he ever taught me was the quality of my life is the quality of the questions I ask.
And you still use that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I know my life is shitty, I immediately start looking at the questions I'm asking myself, and then there's proof in the, he talked about things like people saying like to themselves, like, why am I so fat? People who want to lose weight. Why am I so fat? He's like, that's a common question, or why can't I lose weight? He's like, all your brain does is answer it. All your brain does is because you're hungry, because you like to eat, because you like sugar, because you like, Coke, so on and so forth. Do you know what I mean? Coca-Cola, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then he says, like, what happens if you ask better questions? Like, how can I lose weight and enjoy the process? Or how can I lose weight and still love the food that I eat? And he says, like, change the questions and start seeing how the answers start facilitating what you actually want. It's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Do I use it all the time? No. Well, I'm fucking broke. I'm a broke fucking podcaster in Georgia, bro.
Sometimes your questions are limited.
Or just sometimes, I fell out of love for chase of money and all these other things as well. But anyway.
That's neat.
Tony Robbins sucks, says Potato. He, look, his stuff doesn't. I did it for years. Let me tell you what, man. I was exposed to him in 1988. I took the firewalking one seminar. I took that in 1988.
God, that's so.
We ended up breaking boards, but the same one. It's called Limited Power.
Okay.
So I did that one in 1988. It was then that I started making my goals for doing something really special in my life, for being something better than anything I could have possibly imagined. And it was through those seminars that I really felt like I understood how to get there. You know what I mean? And I stuck with that all the way until I was 24 years old. And in that moment, when I was 24 years old, I recognized the opportunity that I believe through those years with Tony, I'd been preparing for all along. And that was to get my way into Hollywood and to break out as an entertainer, which is something that I'd been doing since I was a little kid. And I totally believe that the work I did with Tony Robbins is what led me to that opportunity and to be able to do so well with it. I mean, I went to Hollywood, and in one fucking year, I was writing and producing Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think it is. There's a whole lot to be said about young people who are exposed to this sort of like guru advice where they take in what they're being told, right? So that's really important.
Yeah.
That they find some sort of mentor figure who they believe.
Yeah.
And then all the mentor figure has to do is instill in them a sense of courage.
Yeah.
Right? That whatever you try to do, you should try to pursue and make it great and big. And there aren't really any, like, it doesn't matter if you fail. That type of courage, right? And also teaches the young person to watch for opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's that saying like opportunity knocks, but what it kind of misses is the point that you have to be listening. I think the reason
Great
why
point.
your life changed is that you started to watch for signs very, very intently of like, what is the direction I'm supposed to be on? I'm going to get a clue somewhere from some of these people, someone, right? And I think that if young people can be told to be courageous and to watch for opportunities, then they'll be able to find themselves in a place like this. Like you just like jumped onto a plane or a bus or whatever and ended up in a new city and then like landed in this new group of friends and then made an amazing career for yourself like within a fucking year.
Yeah.
And I think that if you had been listening to people who were like telling you, you have to be mature and you have to like go to school and you have to have a plan and make sure that you stick straight to your plan. Like you never would have done any of those things. You had to have the kind of advice that I feel like young people deserve, which is like, go find something that's calling to you, listen for it, and then have courage when you chase it.
Hey, I'm going to get a little bit morbid with this because this is what he really did for me. I had survived a nasty childhood that involved massive amount of sexual and physical and mental abuse. He kind of opens it all up with the idea of, hey, this brain, there's no user manual for it. He's like, so it's the most powerful thing a human being has. It is our consciousness, but there's no user manual. We don't know what we're doing most of the time. And this thing is so powerful that it does its own thing. And I can prove to you how powerful it is because it's sitting there right now and it's beating your heart at 100 and fucking whatever beats per minute. And you don't even think about it. It's not something you think about. And so he really presented it this way, like, oh, fuck, he's going to create the user manual for my mind. And my mind is broken. And I knew it was broken because I just survived some crazy ass shit. I moved out when I was 16 years old. I mean, nutty shit. You know what I'm saying? I was a child, bro. And I had a lot to get through. And there's this guy who comes along and he goes, hey, man, let's just open up your brain and let's figure out how you're communicating with yourself. Because one of the things that he talked about so often was bad things happen, but it's what you do that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, that's so massive.
So it's not what happens, but what you do that makes a difference.
That's so massive to hear when you're young because it can really
it changed everything.
It can really rewire your trauma and understand that there's a place to put it and still move forward, right? Like you don't have to like just stuff it down and pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and there's like a drawback to it because like on the one hand it does that, but on the other hand I didn't deal with my trauma. Like it wasn't until much later in life that I realized that I was carrying around like an enormous amount of grief.
I know, but you kind of have to have maturity to do that properly.
Well, I don't disagree with that, and I think that's an interesting sort of perspective because, and I think even if you have the maturity and you have the opportunity to expose yourself to his stuff or to stuff similar, because he is just an aggregate. You know what I mean? Like he's invented nothing, and he openly admits that as well. I mean, he talks about it.
I admire people like that though. Yeah. Like I understand.
Yeah, me too.
Like. It's very mercurial to be like pick information from here and there and then synthesize it in a way that conveys it well to others.
Yeah, he just curated what he felt was based on interviews and things that he had done, the things that worked more consistently through a larger group of people than say what might help an individual. But anyway, so it really did change things for me, and he really did change things for me. And so, yeah, I mean, he's a flawed person, but aren't we all? I mean, I don't think we're going to get away from flaws. In the end, I think you have to like start to rely on things like, what is the intention? Is this person, first of all, like, are we growing? Is this person growing? Have they gotten better or have they gotten worse? Is there a regression or is there a progression?
Yeah,
I
think he did get worse. I think that he got so like he had pedestaled himself so much that he felt like he could just act like an asshole to people. Like there's the video that resulted in the allegations of
abuse.
Yeah, and I saw it and I was like, who the fuck acts like this?
What did he do? I didn't even see it.
He was being physically intimidating to one of his attendees, who's a woman, and she was very small. He's a massive,
he's a very big fella,
6'5" or some shit.
He's a big fella with teeth for days.
Yeah. So he was just being this like really physically imposing presence, and he was kind of walking her down and like arguing with her. It was just really fucking weird. He was acting like a giant asshole in front of a whole group of people. Like the amount of intimidation it takes. I mean, she endured so much worse of an experience because they were in a huge group of people. So that really does the power dynamic of somebody who's willing to act that badly in front of everybody. It's just like, you can't even defeat that. You know what I mean? Like it adds so much more to his behavior that he was like being bold enough, being like, you're not going to do anything. Look, none of these people are going to do anything to help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've lived through so much of that, people being totally fucking dominating because they have the station and the class.
It did seem like a real fucking power move, and it was really cruel. And I was surprised to see that from him. So maybe that's why people think he's a douche.
The draft she did.
Oh, yes.
She's fucking talented.
One. Yes.
Talented.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too. This is probably the most excited.
I hope you're liking the book. Dale really wrote it for you guys.
Yeah, she
for people who are interested in the story and want to know what the truth of it is, because it's been so distorted in the press for 20 years, Yeah. And then there's the game of telephone too. So people are like sharing their takes on false information that started, a bunch of other translations ago,
Oh, Nier's saying that she was asking about Tony Robbins' sexual misconduct allegations. Yeah. Well, I don't know enough about them.
Yeah, me neither.
To comment on them enough to say one way or another. They came up. I just remember being like horribly disappointed in them. Obviously. Look. Here's the thing about Tony Robbins that I would say is problematic for him is that, well, let's just say I believe her. I'll say that about it. I believe her. I believe that she's. Yeah, I believe that whatever she felt happened probably did happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that Tony Robbins didn't understand what the fuck he was doing or was confused by it or whatever else his excuse might be. But in the end, it doesn't really fucking matter, So yeah, I mean, as far as Tony Robbins goes, yeah, I mean, I don't even remember his when those allegations happened. So his sexual misconduct, I'm just going to look. Yeah, we are. Multiple women, including former staffers and followers, accused Robbins of inappropriate sexual advances, groping, and creating a highly sexualized work environment. Inappropriate advances and groping, at least 10 women accused Robbins of sexual harassment or general mistreatment. I did not know that. Specific claims included groping a fan during a public event and making unwanted advances towards employees.
What a fucking pest.
Exposure. 2 former assistants alleged that they were expected to work with Robbins while he was naked in his hotel room or while he was in the shower. One woman reported leaving his room in tears after he dropped his towel in front of her.
Oh my God.
Assault of a minor. In a separate report, BuzzFeed News detailed the most serious allegation that Robbins assaulted a teenage girl at a summer camp in '85. Recruitment of women. 2 former bodyguards told BuzzFeed News, which, by the way, BuzzFeed News is a credible organization. I don't know if people know that, but they're actually...
I was surprised.
They're highly rated for accuracy and non-bias. BuzzFeed News, they were sent into audiences to find attractive women for Tony Robbins. Berating victims. Investigation also highlighted audio recordings and interviews claiming Robbins berated victims of rape and domestic violence during his seminars, using their trauma as examples of victimhood. In a leaked 2018 video, Robbins stated the Me Too movement was an excuse for some women to get significance by attacking and destroying someone else, for which he later apologized. Well, I mean, all of this is despicable and deplorable, and yeah, okay, I fucking hate him. I mean, obviously, if you have this many people coming forward, then he piece of shitted it, It just sucks because what happens is people get power. So look, again, and I've talked about this I just watched a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I'll talk about it now again for a brief moment. There's a way in which we can separate the work from the man. And so, as far as Tony Robbins' his work goes, I think it's pretty fucking brilliant. And I'm talking about the books and the seminars, not necessarily, or definitely not any of these kinds of allegations where he's berating or bullying or being a shitty fucking human being to others. As it relates to this man's personality, well, on the one hand, I'm obviously very disappointed. But when I worked with Tony Robbins and Associates, he was a dick. He was a straight up dick. He gave us troubles. He really pissed me off, actually. I was highly disappointed in him because I was like, aren't you that guy? Aren't we supposed to be kumbaya? Why aren't we locking elbows here? Why are you forcing us into a situation where we'll probably end up closing the doors because we can't keep it open? And you have the power to change that right now.
Yeah, that's so misaligned.
And he was also so we were like bringing him to Vancouver.
Yeah, you're also like bringing people in who can't afford the big ticket, right? And then eventually they're going to afford the big ticket.
Yeah.
Like, so you're reaching more people. It just seems like a really foolish way to run a business if you want to grow.
We wanted to bring him to Vancouver to do live.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of money he wanted was so insane. And then the perks were just like private jet.
So
we had to charter a jet, which we were like, why? No.
Like, you have your own one.
We'll buy you 2 first class tickets. Let's not charter a jet. Let's just give you a whole fucking seating section in first class so you can fly. Nope, it's got to be a private jet. It was just all the shit that I hated. So yeah, I mean, look, it tracks. All this tracks. What a fucking shame. Tony Robbins, man. Fucking jerk off, bro. Ugh. Oh well. Thanks for ruining my night, Nier.
Oh, Cosmic Urgency said I was wrong. That in one battle after another, DiCaprio's character...
Thing I want to cover.
Nier's here said, having just recently watched Boogie Nights again, it baffles me why Mark Wahlberg regrets being in it. It's his best performance other than The Departed. Is Mark Wahlberg in The Departed?
Because he's a Christian now.
Oh, so he has to denounce
he's a Christian
his
now.
Fun work?
He's a big Christian now.
So stupid. That's true. He's trying to get hired on like faith-based shit and like family comedies.
He's all Christian-y now, and it's all this fucking bullshit. And you know why he's a Christian, in my opinion? Because he's done so many bad fucking things. That's my opinion. And I know, and I know that's at least partly true because I know that he beat a man to within an inch of his life because of the color of his skin. So Mark Wahlberg has probably turned to religion because he's probably worried about what's going to happen after he dies.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to because if there's a hell, he's going to be fucking torched in it. That Steven Spielberg, this is the example of this is the perfect example of everything that I've been trying to fucking argue for my pathetic situation. What Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire did was so fucking outrageous. It was so horrible. It is so beneath anything that is remotely close to good, kind, considerate, moral, level-headed. All of it escapes them. What Steven Spielberg did
Yeah.
was the right thing to do.
That's right.
I don't like the way this guy behaved. I bet you Ben Affleck was a dick that day. You know what I mean?
Maybe he didn't want to work with Spielberg either
Because
after that fight.
he can be dicky. I've seen him be dicky before. Ben
Really?
Affleck. Yeah. He can be dicky.
What's the story?
No. I'm just, he's just like everybody can be dicky. I can be dicky. I've been dick. Look, I've been dicky on this very channel.
Stop saying dicky.
Why? Because of this show you're about to
No,
watch?
but it's just a horrible word. You could be a dick, is what you mean to say.
Dickish. Niers is saying, sorry, Dale, but we're all after the truth, after all, aren't we? And yes, we are after the truth. I don't mind knowing that about Tony Robbins. In fact, it's better to know that, the guy changed my life in so many different ways. And I'm sorry that he couldn't hold down an air of decency through it. It just sickens me. This is like, the whole like nice guys finish last and stuff. Like I would have just been so good to the world, Not only would I have been making good art, but I would have been elevating people, or maybe not. Maybe I would have turned into a fucking powerful dick. Who knows? Dickie. Who knows? Who knows?
No, the iteration of your artistry that I feel like DiCaprio and Maguire robbed Hollywood of, that I feel like is the worst and saddest, most egregious one, was that you were super interested in finding an actor and then developing out of them the character they most wanted to play.
Yeah.
And then creating a film around that character.
Yeah, that was my dream.
Like this was the thing that you were going to try and do.
That was going to be my
Think
dream.
about all of the incredible actors. Think about the actors that nobody even really knows about, but who are like just brimming with talent.
Yeah.
And you would have been able to find these guys and from their little bit parts and whatever,
Yeah, that was my dream.
and
was to
brought
sit down
out
and be
of
like,
them their
let's.
favorite role.
Yeah, for sure. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What is it? What is your dream role? And then we just find our way around.
Like imagine being worth $7 billion and having that desire. You'd be making everybody's best performances.
Yeah, being worth what Leonardo DiCaprio's worth. The guy's worth $200-300 million.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, the one thing that Leonardo DiCaprio has never done that really I think says so much about his character is that he came up through independent film. That's how he got it. He got Lasse Hallström.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
got Basketball Diaries. He did indie film. That's how he got up. It's pretty much how everyone was getting up in the 90s. If you were going to get your break, you weren't going to get it in a studio pick typically. And if you were, you're going to end up like Haley Joel Osment or however you say his name.
Osment, yeah.
Osment. And all these others, Corey Feldman.
No,
right?
the worst thing about PTN, Paul Thomas Anderson talking shit about art house creators is that, art house filmmakers is that all of the people who were watching his movies, like the people who were big fans of Magnolia were only going to be big fans of Magnolia because they had been watching art house films their whole life. Right?
Yeah, he was the king of art house.
Like his
but
fans,
I wasn't even talking about him. I was
his
talking about
fans
Leo.
got trained up
Yeah.
on art house films to enjoy the films P.T. Anderson was making in his
Yeah.
early career. Fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, it applies to him too. I was talking about Leo. It certainly applies to Paul Thomas Anderson, at least sentimentally, like how he can, say that to DiCaprio in an industry filled with art house directors and writers, and it's just to me, it's just hyper insensitive. But I was really speaking about DiCaprio and how
right.
DiCaprio has done nothing to like he's so full of shit. Like DiCaprio talks about like in the interview with Jen Lawrence.
Yeah.
Jenny. Yeah. Like in that interview, right? Fucking he's talking about how his motivation for acting was to get out of the bad neighborhood he was in, which is just horseshit. I mean, it's fucking horseshit. But anyway.
Oh, because he grew up in Los
He
Angeles.
was in a fucking sitcom when he was 12. But like the fucking, when I was 12 years old, I was fucking delivering newspapers, bro, for fucking $15 a week.
in Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg in the fucking winter. This fucking guy's go, oh, my poor life. He's pulling down fucking thousands of dollars a week. Get the fuck out of here, kid. But anyway, Leonardo DiCaprio said that he needed to get out of the neighborhood that he was in. Leonardo DiCaprio was risen to fame through art house film and art house film directors. He rose to fame on the backs of low budget independent films or lower budget independent films, right? He's done nothing for independent film. He's done nothing for his fucking neighborhood, the neighborhood he needed to get out of. What has he done? Nothing. What do you hear about him doing in those neighborhoods? So-called horrible, terrible neighborhoods.
Where
Nothing.
he's from.
I've looked. Nothing. He's done nothing. He's done nothing
I know.
of any significance whatsoever. He has contributed absolutely nothing to independent cinema since Titanic. Absolutely fucking nothing. In fact, the only thing he has done to independent cinema is destroy it. The only thing he has done is create doubt around it. The one thing that he did, undoubtedly, is that he sent a message to all of Hollywood: be careful with working with your friends, because shit can go ugly, and you'll lose your friendships, and you'll lose your station in town. That's what he did. I don't know how we ended up on this rant, but
Nier's here is saying that Todd Beckman seems to be a liar or just doesn't remember things accurately.
yeah, I mean, it could be a combination of both, but what he really is uninvolved. Todd Beckman was uninvolved. Todd Beckman, he apparently wrote the 10 or 20 pages of dialogue-laden screenplay, which means very few words.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
And that was it. He showed up to do a vanity shot at the opening of Don's Plum, or, it was actually day 3. We probably shot that. I can't remember what day it was, but whatever. Todd Beckman showed up and did his little cameo shot where he's an extra. But he had no involvement in the movie. When the New York Post did that documentary, Stephen Greenstreet, the director, called me up and he said, "Hey, I'm going to meet with Todd Beckman." And I was like, "Why?" I told him he shouldn't. I said, Todd Beckman has no business being involved in this story whatsoever because he has no experience in the story. So Todd Beckman, everything that came out of Todd Beckman's mouth was worthless as it relates to the actual story and the facts surrounding the story because he had no experience. He had none. So anything he could bring to the table was hearsay, and that hearsay would have been coming from one person only, and that would be David Stutman. This is a fucking mess.
When I was helping you edit your book, I think I noticed in one of the drafts that we were working on, one of the drafts, I was like, I wasn't sure because this is after the documentary, and you were really upset about some of the things that Todd Beckman said because you didn't feel like
he talked about joining up with. By the way, he doesn't own any copyright.
Yeah, I know. So listen. So when I was helping you edit your book, right? There was in one of the drafts, I was like, "Oh, I just noticed just now that like you haven't mentioned Todd Beckman at all. Like he's completely missing from this book." And I asked you, I was like, "Was that on purpose? Like, are you trying to exclude him because you're upset with him or whatever?" And you're like, "No, he like literally wasn't there.
He was
like,
there, yeah.
Like I'm telling a story about events that I experienced, and I'm telling you who was there and who I experienced it with. Like, and he was never around."
Yeah, and I mean, my role in Don's Plum was. I mean, it was, I was one of the creators of the movie from top to bottom.
In the whole story, that whole like memoir about your entire experience making this film in Hollywood, he was just never around.
Yeah, Todd Beckman is, shame on Todd Beckman is how I think about it. It's just shame on that guy, and really anybody who, even has the urge to participate in. I don't know what he thought he was going to get out of it. I guess in New York Post, it's just so funny because like, I did Vanity Fair, did the New York Post, I did these like, Guardian, a couple others. And it's just like, people are like, I think people think that they're more than they really are. Like to me, they were nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, there were opportunities for me to get my word out, and that mattered to me. And to that extent, there was something. But I think like people, and this is projecting onto him in some sense, or not projecting, but just guessing. But I just think there's like a fame aspect that people.
Yeah, I think that he made that really clear in his last statements in the documentary. Todd Beckman was talking about how he would love to have DiCaprio and Maguire over to his house so that they could like hang out and burn the negative together. Yeah. And I was like, there it is.
There it is.
He wants to align with the powerful people. Yeah. So he's going to kick Dale while he's down. Correct. Like they would like him to. Like he's going to try and be like a loyal little soldier for them so that maybe he can get noticed. I was like, that says everything. That in the end, he was like, what my big dream is to have those guys over at my house.
I thought like he was, yeah. So Todd Beckman, man, he's, I haven't looked at, I'm just going to look real quick because I haven't seen it, but I think that one, the first episode, Curse of Don's Plum, I think it kind of blew up. When I looked at it last,
yeah, it's linked in the Gavel Gavel. I think.
Is it?
Oh, no. The Vanity Fair article is.
When I first saw it, it had like, I don't know, like 100,000 views or something.
I'm glad people are discovering it. I wish they would index it better so that everybody knows it's a 3-part series. Cause I think you just watch the first one and you don't, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's almost got 400,000.
It doesn't autoplay the second one.
Yeah, I know. You guys are wonderful. Loved hanging out with you. I hope you guys like the reviews. I think I was a little all over the place this time, but
Oh, I know. Me too. I was like, I have 100 things to say. I'm just going to do it.
Love hanging out with you guys. Hope you guys will come back tomorrow. We'll have, I'm sure, many more things there. I got a bunch of saved things that I didn't get to today because of the review. So I've got some very interesting stuff, including some Sylvester Stallone shit about him being mad at his mom and dad and all kinds of shit. You'll see. It's important. It's actually
just skip that one.
No. Believe me, it's relative. It's relative. It's actually good stuff. You guys are so fucking awesome. I can't wait to see you guys again till tomorrow. And yeah, we're going to be, I hope all of your, for those of you celebrating the holidays, I hope your holiday is going really well. I hope you're going to, have a great time with your families and your friends and all that stuff.
Or at least not fight too much.
For those who are going to come and hang out with us, I can't wait to see you. Until then. We'll...